session coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's called the opportunity concept,
Right.
but a lot of that's going to be understanding our avatar. Our avatar is what you might call like the,
Right.
the persona of the
Sure.
person, or in your mind.
Yeah.
And what he considers a real opportunity. So we'll come back to this topic again.
Okay. So you have a copy of that, so I can take it off this. Okay.
Yeah, we'll send you some stuff.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Who knew that this was a Grandpa Kurt doll when you opened it up? How did you know that?
You have it written on your sheet up there.
So you're looking at your sheet.
He was sitting up there.
Damn it, we blew it. Okay, so let me tell you a quick little story before we get started. Right, so I'll tell you a quick story. So I ordered whatever it is, 20 of these things, right? And I get them delivered to my house, and I don't tell my wife that they're coming. So she opens the box the other day from Amazon, because we get 4 Amazon boxes every single day, and she just assumes that every one of them are hers because they were hers. So she opens the box and she texts me and she goes, "WTF are these little dolls? There's 20 of them that we just got, and they're creepy." So I wrote her back and I'm like, oh, well, then she wrote me back like quickly after that. She's like, "I checked my Amazon account and these things cost $240 and they're in our account." So she thought we got hacked, right? And I texted her back and I was like, "Oh, they're for work." And she just said, "You're really weird." So you now all have Grandpa Kurt figures that showed up at my house a week ago.
Tell her we love them.
We hope. I can't even get Grandpa Kurt to stand up. He's kicking the bucket over here.
Yeah.
Okay, last session I asked you guys to write down 5 of your goals and 5 of your worries and concerns about what you're going to get into in the next 9 weeks. Does anyone want to share a goal? Jimmy?
My goal is to be able to consistently write copy that performs.
That's good.
I want to be sharper and quicker in my execution.
Okay.
Hey Jimmy, can I come back to you for a second?
Yeah.
The best thing with goals when you have them is just be as specific as possible, right? So instead of writing copy that performs, be specific in 2 ways. What does it mean to perform, and what timeline do you want to accomplish that in? So, for instance, instead of just writing copy that performs, I'd say, hey, it's my goal to write $1 million of back-end copy by January 1st of next year, and write 5,000 names of a front-end package by October 18th, 2017, or 2018. That would be tough last year. So just be specific with your goals. So when you think about that, don't just be general, right? It's just not, hey, I want to do well. How do you want to do well, and by what time do you want to do well? It just holds you way more accountable.
Right up in the back.
Win copy care.
Win copy camp? Okay.
What does that mean?
However you determine winning copy camp is. That's what I want to do, specific.
Judd?
I want to get to writing 1,000 words per day.
Okay.
That lady just totally wandered into our meeting,
Yeah.
and it was like she was here for like a minute before she realized that she was not in the right room.
She missed Grandpa Kurt. That was really good.
She didn't come during
She
Grandpa
only
Kurt.
realized when the other one came to grab her, probably, or like was asking.
Yeah,
for her.
exactly.
Like,
She's like, "Where's my Grandpa Kurt?" I'm totally into this guy now. Sorry. That was
Who has a worry or concern they want to share?
I had a dream this morning about I dreamed that I looked at my phone and it was 8:01 a.m. I literally had this.
So being late.
So
I'm surprised you just pack your shit up and go right home.
I didn't have that fear before, but I wrote that as my primary fear.
I got a fear of falling short of my expectation.
Falling short of
Like an
expectation.
example would be like, not doing homework.
Not doing
That's a simple example, right?
Okay. Anyone else have any? Okay.
Fear there, hit the dip and not realize it.
Hit the dip, not realize it. Okay.
People around you will realize it and they'll just tell you.
So I have another.
You're really depressed. You haven't slept much.
Yeah.
We have the cure for that.
I have another exercise for you before our next session. You can do on your own. Take the 5 worries and concerns that you have and reframe them in a positive way as some sort of positive affirmation or goal. So if your worry was, I'm not going to understand the big idea concept, or I'm not going to understand our customer, reframe that in a way where you are going to say, my goal is to understand our customer, or I want to learn how to understand the big idea concept. Like Joe said, the more specific you can make it, the better. So do that before our next session on Monday. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're here to talk about the big idea. Specifically for this session, it's going to be 2 parts. How to identify a big idea. Okay, that's like really the goal, the skill we're trying to teach here. This first session at least. Next session we're going to work more on, and the rest of the camp mostly on how to create them. But for this session, it's how to look at an idea and have an understanding that, yeah, that looks like a big idea. And it's tough because until you really create one on your own, it's kind of a little bit abstract. That's where a lot of people get caught, I think, and have a hard time understanding it, because I can sit here all day and just tell you like things that, like my opinions of a big idea, what they look like. But that's after the fact. That's not, people don't sit down for checklists like, hey, I'm going to make a big idea that's urgent or ultra specific. No, you can't sit down and create one with a checklist. Otherwise, we would be doing this. We'd all be rich, or we'd be very poor because it had no value, right? So a lot of this is just so you can have a little bit of an intellectual understanding of it. Really what you want to get in your career is what's called the golden gut, which is going to be your intuition, which you only really get from writing a lot of packages and reading a lot of packages and dissecting them like you've been doing this camp, to the point that hopefully in the end of this camp, in a couple of months, hopefully in 6 months, hopefully in a year, you're just going to have the intuition and the kind of like golden gut to look at an idea and be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, or no, I don't think that's going to work. And that really only comes from experience, but at least here you can kind of get in your mind what one looks like. So, Jody, you can name that?
Yeah, this session is the most important session of Copy Camp. Today and Monday are the most important things. So the idea of your promotion that you will write at the end of Copy Camp, that you'll continue to write in your copywriting career, what is going to make that promotion work or fail is the idea. The idea, not the writing. Right? You could be the most brilliant writer. We're going to cover this a little bit later. I just want to make sure you guys understand this.
Mm-hmm.
You could be the most brilliant writer. If you're working with a shit idea, that package is going to suck. It's not going to make you any money. It's not going to sell. However, you could be the world's worst writer and be working with the best idea, and the promotion will work. So my goal this year is, I think copywriting is a bad compounded term. Because to me, writing in copywriting, for me, does not matter. So my goal is to shift the paradigm in the industry this year and create a new category, which is some gobbledygook mixed up word of copy and ideas. Because that's what it is. It's not copywriting. I think it's a bad compounded word, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm a good writer, therefore I'll be able to sell in print. Not the case, right? Well, it might be the case. But what is the most important thing is that you are idea machines. Idea machines. So it's copy and ideas that matter, right?
Yeah.
Not copy and the writing that matters. Yeah. You can fake the writing, because all we're doing when we write is we write like we talk. You don't have to be, Stephen King to make it work. You don't have to be any massive, amazing poet to make the writing work. You need an amazing big idea. So this is going to be really the only theme that goes through every single part of the next 16 sessions, is going to be the idea. So from this week and from Monday, we're going to focus on the big idea. It's going to carry through to everything. Everything else after this are going to be little tactics and little tips to carry out the big idea. But the big idea is the most important thing. So if you take anything away from Copy Camp, it's today's session and the next session. Because if you don't have a good idea, it ain't ever going to work. And we're going to cover stuff that Lloyd said, which is like every big idea exists at a time and place and all that stuff. So just make sure that if you pay attention to anything, just pay attention to today, pay attention to Monday, because it's the copy ideas that make it work.
All right, definition of a big idea you can write down. A big idea is an idea that is instantly comprehended as important, exciting, and beneficial. Big idea is an idea that is instantly comprehended as important, exciting, and beneficial. It also leads to an inevitable conclusion, a conclusion that makes it very easy to sell your product. It also leads to an inevitable conclusion, a conclusion that makes it very easy to sell your product. Two things interesting in that quote, which I think was from Mark Ford, is who is it being instantly comprehended by? Our prospect.
Grandpa Kurt.
Yeah. The second thing is that the big idea is, the conclusion is to sell our product. The big idea is not the product. The product is part of it, but it's separate in itself. It's something we're using to sell the product. Okay? So, elements of a big idea, like what are the pieces and parts you could look at? One great idea, not a mix of mediocre ones. Sometimes we call that the rule of one. We'll get more into that when we get into headlines and leads. But it's one idea, it's not, there's pieces and parts to it, but it should mash together into one comprehensive whole. A big believable promise of transformation, results, or outcome. You know, what's in it for the prospect? What do they get out of it? Has to have a promise. Unique, which you can see some on the piece of paper if you want, but one thing I'd add about unique is that it should be a pattern interrupt. Oftentimes it's seemingly incongruent, meaning that it's seemingly to something that shouldn't exist, which is another way of saying something new. Another thing you might write down is that new and different is better than better. New and different is better than better. A lot of times